So what exactly happens when your favorite AI command line interface just suddenly loses its free tier? Well, for a lot of us developers, sheer panic sets in, right? You spend hours building these brilliant automated workflows, you give your agents the absolute superpower of web search, and then boom! Overnight, a giant like Google pulls the plug on the Gemini Code Assist free tier for individuals. Just like that, your workflows break, your agents basically go blind, and you're left scrambling to fix it. It's incredibly frustrating. But what if I told you that this crisis actually forced an upgrade that made your tool significantly faster and way more resilient? Enter gsearch-cli version 0.2.0. The community is officially calling this the anti-gravity upgrade. And let me tell you, it's a total game changer. This isn't just some quick band-aid patch to get things limping along again. No, this is a complete architectural evolution of the tool. It literally takes the pain of losing that free tier and flips it into a massive performance win for anyone building agentic workflows or needing that sweet, zero-latency web search right there in the terminal.
Welcome to this explainer. I am super thrilled you're joining us today because we're going to unpack exactly how the gsearch-cli not only survived this shutdown, but thrived. We'll dive into the really clever engineering behind the anti-gravity migration, the Rust architecture making the whole shebang hum, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to upgrade your own systems. If you're into seeing how robust tools pivot under pressure to avoid a complete breakdown of your automated systems, you're absolutely going to love this.
Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover the Gemini CLI shakeup, the anti-gravity upgrade, core features and benefits, the architecture under the hood, grounding and citations, and wrap up with how to upgrade right now.
Starting with Section 1, the Gemini CLI shakeup, losing the free tier. All right, let's set the stage here. Google made the tough decision to kill the Gemini CLI free tier for individual developers. So that old, reliable Gemini Code Assist pathway suddenly blocked for everyday use. If you were relying on gsearch-cli to give autonomous coding agents, like Claude Code, the ability to search the web and pull down documentation, that critical workflow was just instantly shattered. You literally couldn't keep pinging the old endpoint unless you had a paid enterprise account. It left the community with a pretty harsh reality: either migrate to a completely new solution or lose seamless web grounding in your terminal entirely.
Moving right along to Section 2, enter the anti-gravity upgrade, a complete pivot.
Now take a look at the sheer cleverness of this migration, specifically how it handles the endpoints. The backend completely shifted away from the standard Gemini tier, moving over to the anti-gravity developer tier. But to make this work smoothly, the CLI basically had to put on a disguise, like a fake mustache. As you can see, the base endpoint moved, and the old user agent header was precisely swapped to antigravity/CLI. By perfectly mimicking that specific environment signature, access was seamlessly restored. Pretty smart, right?
Section 3, core features and benefits. Faster, better, headless.
Okay, the most crucial point here is that giant 0 you're looking at. That 0 represents the new per-search latency for resolving the Google Cloud Project ID. See, in the older versions, every single time you ran a search, the CLI had to dynamically call out over the network to resolve your project ID before it could actually fetch your results. It added a really noticeable, annoying delay. But version 0.2.0 completely changes the game. It now resolves and caches that project ID locally, right during the initial oauth login flow. That means when you actually type a query later, the CLI skips that extra network hop entirely. It is so much faster.
And on top of the speed, we also get this brilliant addition: headless support. If you're SSH'd into a remote Linux server or working deep inside a headless Docker container, an automated browser pop-up for OAuth login is just not going to happen. So the new -no browser flag triggers a manual OAuth flow. It simply prints the authorization URL right there in your terminal. You just copy it, paste it into your local browser, authenticate, and then paste the callback code back into your headless session. It's a lifesaver that ensures your agents can run securely, literally anywhere.
On to Section 4, architecture under the hood, the Rust modules.
For the folks who love seeing how things are built, the codebase is elegantly divided into 4 main Rust modules. First, main.rs handles all the command line arguments and routing. Then, API.rs manages the communication with that new Google endpoint and handles proxy bypassing. So if you're stuck behind a strict corporate zscaler firewall, it automatically detects your HTTPS proxy and works flawlessly. Next, auth.rs handles the brand new anti-gravity authentication. And finally, grounding.rs does all the heavy lifting for your citations. It's incredibly clean, highly modular, and built for absolute speed.
Let's look a little closer at that auth.rs module, because honestly, the login flow is a total work of art. Best of all, it requires 0 external dependencies. When you initiate a login, it actually spawns a native local loopback server using Tokyo right on port 511121. It catches the OAuth redirect, grabs your authorization code, exchanges it for tokens, fetches your account email, and then immediately auto-provisions your managed project ID by polling the onboard user API. It's this incredibly sophisticated handshake, all handled completely silently in the background.
Section 5. Grounding. Citations in CLI. Bringing the web to the terminal.
So when we talk about grounding, what we're really talking about is proving exactly where the AI got its information. The API doesn't just hand back a block of text. It returns these things called grounding support objects. These are basically abstract data structures containing exact UTF-8 byte indices, a specific start index and an end index. This tells the CLI precisely which slice of the raw text corresponds to which specific web source. But as you can imagine, translating that abstract API data into readable, clickable links in a terminal isn't exactly a walk in the park.
Think about it. If you just start injecting citation brackets, like a 1, into a byte array from the beginning to the end, all the subsequent byte indices immediately shift, and your remaining coordinates are completely ruined. It's a mess. So grounding.rs pulls off something brilliant. It injects the citations backwards. By sorting the insertions in descending order, the byte offsets at the beginning of the text remain completely undisturbed. It is literally a zero-overhead masterclass in string manipulation.
And finally, Section 6. How to upgrade now. Action required.
Take a close look at the shift in credential storage paths here. The old path sitting under .gemini is entirely gone. The new anti-gravity auth system creates a cleanly separated schema over at .config/gsearch/antigravity.json. On top of that, the OAuth scopes have been expanded to support the new anti-gravity tracking requirements. So, what does this actually mean for you today? It means your old session data is entirely obsolete.
As the release notes lay out very clearly, existing users will lose their authenticated sessions. They must run gsearch login again. Consider that your golden rule for this update. You need to update the binary via homebrew or cargo and then immediately run that login command. The CLI is going to walk you through the new OAuth flow, cache your new project ID, and your agent workflows will instantly come back to life, honestly faster than they ever were before.
So, here we are. You've officially survived the great free tier shutdown of the Gemini CLI, and you now have a fundamentally superior, zero-latency, anti-gravity-powered tool sitting right there in your terminal. The friction is gone, the speed is way up, so the only real question left is, what will your agents build next with this unhindered access to the web? Go run that update, get logged in, and let's find out. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building!